to The Debate. I'm your host, and today we're tackling a question that hits close to home for a lot of us.
Yeah, especially you.
Okay, fair. But seriously, we're asking, which console from the golden era of gaming was actually better for people who, let's say, aren't exactly speedrunning champions? We're talking Dreamcast versus PlayStation 2.
The eternal struggle of the late 90s and early 2000s. And look, we're going deep into this today. We've got tons of games to cover, but stick around to the end because we're each going to share our personal favorite Bad Gamer-approved titles that didn't make the main debate.
Oh, I've got some picks that are going to surprise you.
I'm sure they will. All right, so here's the setup. Both of these consoles were making that big leap into 3D gaming, but they had completely different philosophies about how to welcome new players.
Right. And I'm going to argue that the Dreamcast, with its pure arcade DNA, games like Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, provides the best entry point because of that instant fun factor.
And I'll be maintaining that the PlayStation 2, through its absolutely massive library of approachable 3D platformers and what we'd now call cozy games, offers a much more welcoming and sustainable entry point for someone who's never held a controller before.
Okay, so the strength of the Dreamcast for a true beginner lies entirely in its commitment to arcade perfection. The hardware was basically built on Sega's Naomi arcade board architecture.
Which means what exactly for someone who just wants to have fun?
It means the technical barriers were gone. You got perfect ports, high frame rates, instantaneous response. The best entry games give you that dopamine hit immediately with minimal confusion. Easy to learn, difficult to master. Take Crazy Taxi. Pure, immediate, stupid fun with the gameplay loop you can explain in 10 seconds. Pick up a person, drive really fast. It requires almost no intellectual investment, just visceral reaction.
See, I find that argument a little insufficient.
Of course you do.
Because the instant gratification comes with a risk of instant alienation. Pure arcade games are designed for quick restarts, sure, but they lean so heavily on reaction time and reflexes that they can frustrate and, frankly, discourage a true novice very quickly.
Okay, but
my position is that the best entry games minimize frustration. They focus on low stakes and sustained progression. And the PS2 library excelled at this.
And look, full disclosure here, I have a bias in this debate.
Oh, here we go.
I started on the Sega Saturn, jumped to Dreamcast day one, and refused to give it up. Like, friends were all moving to PlayStation and Xbox, and I was that stubborn friend still showing up with Dreamcast games like, no, seriously, you have to try Jet Set Radio.
How long did you hold out?
Years. I watched rental stores drop Dreamcast sections one by one. It was heartbreaking. But that loyalty, it came from somewhere real. These games just clicked for me in a way others didn't.
Well, now we know which side you're really arguing for. 3D platformers are the foundational genre for beginners. Titles like Jak and Daxter or Sly Cooper gently taught players how to navigate and manipulate 3D space. Linear progression, generous checkpoints, safe, repeatable learning.
But is cozy really what a new player is looking for? I mean, come on.
Yes! What defines accessibility here isn't just instant fun, but low-stakes exploration and non-violent success.
Let's look at fighting games, which the Dreamcast absolutely cornered early on. Soul Calibur is still known today among competitive players for its incredibly low barrier to entry. It's a 4-button system that focuses on timing and positioning, not memorizing ridiculously complex multi-input special moves. That immediate accessibility lets a beginner feel competent right away, which is paramount to keeping them engaged.
That's an interesting point about simplifying complex genres. But the PS2 offered titles defined by simple, often absurd concepts that fundamentally lower the bar. The core gameplay of Katamari Damacy is just rolling a ball to pick up junk. It's ridiculous, requires minimal reflexes, and is so intuitively simple that literally anyone can pick it up and play.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That game is delightfully weird.
Or look at LEGO Star Wars. It introduced players to collecting, cooperative play, satisfying loot systems, all through non-punishing, really humorous levels. The goals are always clear, and failure is almost impossible.
Let's tackle that core difference in philosophy. You're prioritizing low stakes, but I think that almost always translates to low adrenaline, which risks losing the attention of a novice who actually wants a rush.
Not everyone wants a rush. Some of us just want to chill.
The Dreamcast offered that immediate high-energy gratification. You see it in arcade races like Hydro Thunder. It's not deep, it's video game junk food. It's a thrill ride that's incredibly easy to pick up.
I appreciate the appeal of the adrenaline rush, I do. But when the difficult-to-master part of that arcade loop kicks in, whether it's the increasingly aggressive AI in Crazy Taxi or the split-second timing you need in Dead or Alive 2, a novice gets overwhelmed very, very quickly. The PS2's strength is that it introduced complexity gradually, within a framework of comfort. Consider games like Dog's Life, which perfectly embody that cozy game idea. Low-stakes roleplay focused on exploration, silly interactions like sniffing butts and chasing cats, non-violent, achievable goals. These titles teach basic 3D movement and interaction without the pressure of a timer or health bar constantly ticking down.
But the Dreamcast was designed for quick sessions. The whole point of migrating the Naomi architecture was to get perfect ports of fast-paced games built for short bursts. The philosophy behind games like Power Stone, it's ideal for short initial gaming sessions. A beginner can play for 15 minutes, get a high score, and walk away feeling satisfied.
And that brief satisfaction doesn't necessarily translate into sustained engagement or, more importantly, skill building.
Okay, shots fired.
We have to talk about the real fundamental barriers for beginners. Effective 3D character movement and camera control. And hey, before we go deeper into this, if you're enjoying this debate, please remember to like and subscribe. We've got tons more gaming content coming your way.
Yeah, hit that button. We need validation.
The PS2 platformers basically established the gold standard for accessible 3D movement, which is vital for new players. The early Ratchet and Clank games set clear standards for mapping jumps, attacks, and strafing. And even when 3D movement was tricky, the platformers were generous with their forgiveness.
I'm sorry, I just don't buy that the PS2 instantly solved 3D control. The Dreamcast often bypassed the complexity of dual analog stick schemes, at least initially. It focused on arcade titles where the movement was highly visceral and direct. Games like Daytona USA used simple controls focused on driving, often just using a single stick or even the D-pad for core action, bypassing those complex camera and exploration hurdles entirely.
And yet the PS2 controls are generally better suited for teaching long-term console literacy. Many of the most recommended RPGs like Persona 3 and Persona 4 didn't rely heavily on analog sticks for their core gameplay. This simplified the interface for anyone more interested in story and strategy over reflexes. Conversely, many Dreamcast 3D titles suffered from early growing pains.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Have you considered the critique leveled against Jet Set Radio? That game required using the same button for tagging graffiti and resetting the camera. For a novice, that conflicting input is an immediate moment of profound confusion and frustration. It's the kind of thing that makes you quit.
That control clash is a weak point in specific experimental titles, I'll grant you that. But we have to recognize the Dreamcast's pioneering achievements in 3D. Sonic Adventure was Sonic's first major leap into 3D, and while, yeah, it was imperfect, it set a high expectation for momentum and speed. More importantly, the hardware excelled in clean 3D fighting experiences.
But the PS2 offered titles that gently eased players into 3D environments without needing split-second timing. Instead of challenging a novice with difficult games, a beginner on the PS2 could enjoy the predictable, safe 2.5D platforming of Klonoa 2. Colorful, whimsical levels focusing on achievable mechanical challenges, not demanding quick reflexes.
So this comes down to whether a beginner finds more frustration in the failure of quick reflexes or in the failure to navigate a 3D space effectively.
Exactly. And I'm saying it's the reflexes that kill you.
I maintain the Dreamcast's commitment to arcade purity meant the movement was often simpler, bypassing those complex camera and exploration hurdles entirely.
The PS2 taught that lesson gently through platformers. Look, ultimately, the Dreamcast commitment to immediate, distilled arcade experiences, from the rapid driving in Crazy Taxi to instant gratification games, provided a fast track to 3D gaming fun. Its library is defined by instant immersion and the joy of local competition, perfectly suited for initiating new players who just want to pick up and play for a short time.
And the PlayStation 2's immense library offered essential beginner genres, cozy games, rhythm games, and 3D platformers. It emphasized comfort, sustained low-stakes engagement, and established foundational 3D gameplay without relying on the pressure and punishment inherent in the arcade intensity that the Dreamcast was built on.
We can certainly conclude that both consoles offered unique, really accessible gateways into the 3D generation, just through fundamentally different design philosophies.
The debate really rests on whether a beginner is best served by that immediate, visceral thrill of instant mastery in one specific skill,
or whether they're better served by the comfortable, structured learning environment necessary to navigate 3D space and complex controls over time.
Spoken like someone who spent too much time with platformers.
Says the person who probably still has nightmares about Crazy Taxi traffic. All right. So we promised you our personal favorite bad gamer approved games that didn't make the main debate. I'll go first with my PS2 picks. First up, Burnout. Now, you might think a racing game would be hard for beginners, but hear me out. Burnout is all about going fast and crashing spectacularly. There's no complex racing lines to learn, no realistic physics to master. You just hold the gas, hit boost, and watch the beautiful chaos unfold. Plus, crashing looks amazing, so even when you fail, you're having fun.
That's actually a solid pick.
And my second pick is SSX Tricky. This game is pure joy. The trick system is incredibly forgiving. You just mash buttons and your snowboarder does cool stuff. The courses are wide and colorful, the music is fantastic, and honestly, it's almost impossible to feel bad at this game because everything you do looks awesome.
I can't argue with SSX Tricky. That game is a vibe.
Thank you. All right, what are your Dreamcast picks?
Okay, so my first pick might surprise you. Sega Bass Fishing. Hear me out. This game is the definition of chill, low-stakes gaming. You sit in a boat, you cast a line, you reel in fish. That's it. The fishing rod controller made it even more accessible, but even with the regular controller, it's incredibly relaxing. No enemies, no time pressure, just you versus some digital fish.
That's actually brilliant for a beginner. Zero stress.
Right? And my second pick is Quake 3 Arena.
Wait, a fast-paced shooter for beginners?
I know. But here's the thing. You can set the bot difficulty to whatever you want. Start on the easiest setting and you feel like a superhero. Plus, the maps are designed so well that you always know where you are. And honestly, just running around and shooting rockets is immediately satisfying. No complicated story to follow, no inventory management, just pure arcade action.
I'll admit the customizable difficulty does make it more accessible.
Plus, it's one of those games where even if you're bad, you're still having fun just being in the chaos.
Fair enough. So there you have it, folks. Whether you're Team Dreamcast or Team PS2, there's definitely a path into gaming for everyone.
Even if you're, terrible at gaming.
Especially if you're terrible at gaming. That's literally what this whole episode was about.
If you enjoyed this debate, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which console you think was better for beginners. Or tell us what games you would add to this list.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your picks. And if you want us to do more debates like this, let us know what topics you'd like to see us tackle next.
All right, until next time.
Keep gaming, even if you're bad at it.
You know, I stuck with Dreamcast way longer than I probably should have. Watched it disappear from rental stores, watched friends move on, but those memories, still some of my best gaming experiences.
That's what this is really about, right? Not which console won, but which one gave you the best entry into gaming.
Exactly, and for me, that was Dreamcast. But I can't deny the PS2 had some incredible accessible games too.
Character growth.